What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Hot List. I'm your host, Matt Johnson with Keller Realty. And in the Hot List, we talk real estate. We talk properties new to the market with recent price reductions or something unique about the property that I want to share with y'all and want y'all to know. I also answer a question of the day that's submitted by a listener of the podcast. To find out how you get your question answered on air, just stick around till the end. Finally, I recognize and thank a sponsor of the week each and every single week. If you would like more information on what it takes to become a sponsor of the week, just hit me up or leave me a comment on your podcast player of choice wherever you listen to this. I'd be happy to reach out, have a little bit further conversation of what it takes to become a sponsor of the week and be recognized by the Hot List. So as we get into it, the property we are talking about today is a newly listed property. The address is 1731 Yucca Lane right here in Emporia. This is a ranch style house that has 3 beds, 2 baths. It does have an attached 2-car garage with 1,564 square feet of finished space, currently listed for $214,900, courtesy of Coldwell Banker Emporia Real Estate. So this house has had a number of recent updates. There's too many updates to list. All you got to do is just click on the link in the description and it's going to take you right to my website so you can see the property for yourself, take a look at it, and if you have any questions, you can jump back to social media or podcast player choice, let me know, or contact me directly through my website. This property also has an in-ground pool, covered patio, got a combination of hardwood flooring and updated carpet throughout, does have a fireplace, a full basement, and a recently updated and large kitchen. So all you got to do is just click on the link in the description. Again, that's going to take you right to my website so you can see the property for yourself. And if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. If you are a pre-approved buyer, not currently working with an agent, and this house is something that interests you, let me know. We can set up a time to schedule and show, again, if you are not currently working with an agent. Before I get into the question of the day, I do want to recognize and thank our sponsor of the week this week, and that is Dynamic Disc. For those that live around the area or are familiar with Dynamic Disc or disc golf in general, this week is the Dynamic Disc Open here in Emporia, Kansas. We have people coming from all over the world. There's been a number of events, tournaments, and classes up to this date so far. Tomorrow actually starts the professional DDO Open, and you still have time to get a spectator badge. All you got to do is swing by the retail store Dynamic Disc on Commercial Street. You can pick up your spectator badges there. They are limited, so make sure that you get down there and get yours bought and reserved before they run out. Also, make sure that you check out Dynamic Disc website. I made it easy, included a link in the description, so you can go right to Dynamic Disc website, check out what they have, get your disc golf on, get geared up. They've got bags, they've got discs, they've got water bottles, there's carts, there's baskets, there's so much. Don't forget, get your apparel there as well. They've got tons of apparel for men, for women. I think they have some youth ones as well. So all you got to do is just check it out, and you can look at it online or swing by the retail store on Commercial Street. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor of the week and curious about what it takes to be recognized by the Hot List Monday through Friday and want some more information, all you got to do is shoot me a message or drop me a comment on your podcast player of choice wherever you're listening to it, and I'd be happy to reach out and give you some details about what it takes to become a sponsor of the week. All right, that is going to bring us to my favorite portion of the show, and that is the question of the day. The question of the day is submitted by a listener of the podcast. So each and every day, Monday through Friday, I do a question of the day. This is submitted by a listener of the show. And if you have a question about real estate, you're not sure where to start, I would love to be the real estate resource that you reach out to and start with. If you have that question, there is a high chance that somebody else has that same question or similar question. And I would love to not only answer that for you, but use your question for continued content like this one and future episodes. That way, I'm able to continue not only helping you, but others with their real estate questions. So, the question of the day: how do I tell if I have a pest infestation? And it is that time of year, so this is a great question because we're that time of year. We're transitioning from winter to spring, which means there's other things that come with that as well. While pest infestation isn't fun, it can be common, especially when you have transitioning seasons, for example, from fall to winter or right now, winter to spring. A lot of times you'll see pests that will come indoors seeking warmth before they become active again in the spring, or you'll see other pests that come indoors and remain active no matter what time of year you're looking at. There are tons of different types of pests that can occupy your house, and it is close to impossible to list all of the signs or symptoms that coincide with these types of pests. So, what we're going to talk about are the 5 most common signs of household pests. Number 1 is going to be staining. So, staining on your ceilings or walls can be a strong indication that there is some type of insect colony that has set up shop. Typically, bees, wasps, ladybugs, some type of beetles will take residence in voids in between your walls as well as attic space. If you hear some type of buzzing, I would recommend not attempting to exorcise these kind of particular demons without help. Speaking from experience and somebody who is allergic to wasp venom, it is not fun. Could land you in the hospital, and let's face it, that's just bad news bears. Just a quick side note as well: mammals and birds can also leave staining in the walls or ceilings as well, depending on what nests are built. But we're going to get into more of that later. Number 2, scratching sounds. Now, I have heard this from homeowners before because rodents love voids in walls, attic spaces, under cabinets, as well as other dark spaces throughout the house. They will use these openings like little highways, getting them safely from their nest to their food source and back. While they're active, you may hear them running through the walls, you may hear scratching, scraping, or even some type of gnawing going on. Now, with these, because you don't know what the animal is, what type of rodent it could be a squirrel, could be a raccoon, whatever it is. If you hear these sounds, I would absolutely recommend calling in a professional instead of trying to handle it on your own, just because you may not, if you're not familiar with what to do with these types of animals, it's better to let a professional handle it. Number 3, unusual smells. Now, before I get too far into this, this could be difficult, especially if you have a teenage boy. Why? Because let's face it, they fucking stink. It's like you gotta hose them down before you even let them inside. And I mean, I have 2 boys and a girl. Boys are disgusting, let's be honest. So, talking about a different kind of pest and different kind of odor, how will you know? Well, these odors aren't normally associated with homes. So, if you're shopping for a home and notice some type of smell or odor, don't automatically assume that it's that's going to be mold or mildew. It may actually be some sort of pest infestation that hasn't been remedied. The same also applies for your own house. If Because you live there all the time, you may not notice it. So maybe somebody that comes to visit notices some type of smell or odor in your house, if they do, ask them to describe that smell and see if they can locate it, because you live there, you may not have noticed it and may just dismissed it. Number 4 on the list, holes or gnaw marks. These can come in all sorts of shapes and sizes and can be used to make nests in your home as well as create access, like I mentioned earlier. You may not always get staining with holes or gnaw marks like I previously mentioned. It's going to depend on where the nest is and what type of materials are used. You might get lucky and get a view from the front. For example, if there are some type of wood consuming beetles, these will drill tiny holes in your siding, your hardwood flooring, or other trim pieces. Where mice, on the other hand, are going to chew through wood or other materials, and this is going to better facilitate their lives and their access to food sources in your home. And finally, number 5 on the list, nests. If you find a nest or nest material, this is a sign that you can't and shouldn't ignore. Rodents do tend to chew on paper or thin materials like plastic bags in order to create their nests. You might see some type of waxy secretion or some type of staining. Usually these are type of nests that will be made by bees, or could be leaves, mud, and grasses that birds use for nests. Sometimes you'll get lucky. These are just found in chimneys or attics and pretty simple to eliminate and clean up. May not get lucky where it may be in between the walls, or it may be somewhere hard to get to. So those are the top 5 common signs of household pests. So again, number 1 was staining on ceiling or walls, some type of insect colony set up shop in your house. Number 2, scratching sounds. This is typically going to be found with rodents, whether it's mice, squirrels, raccoons. If you hear some type of scratching or scraping, I would recommend calling in a professional if you're not familiar or don't know how to handle these type of pests yourself. Number 3, unusual smells. Not the smells that come from your teenager's room. These are going to be distinctive odors given off by pests that aren't typically associated with teenage boys or your home. Number 4, holes or gnaw marks. Like I mentioned, typically when people think of holes, they think of mice chewing through wood or material so they can either make a nest or make access to their food source. You may also see some type of beetle that will drill holes in your hardwood floor or your siding. And finally, number 5, nests. If you find a nest, whether it's in your gutter, your soffit, your chimney, this is something that you can't and shouldn't ignore, because it's only going to get worse and you need to take care of it sooner rather than later. So hopefully you guys got something from this. Let me know if you've run into this before, or maybe your neighbors have run into something like this before. I would love to hear some stories for you guys. So thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Make sure that you share this out with somebody, tag somebody, send it to somebody, as well as leave me a review on your podcast player of choice. I can't continue to do this without your help and support. So make sure that you leave me a review. Let me know how I'm doing and what you would like to hear. So thank you guys for tuning in to the Hot List. Again, I'm your host, Matt Johnson with Keller Williams Realty. I do this because your experience matters and should be trusted with a veteran. Y'all have a phenomenal day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.